Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the 2024 City of McAllen International Women's History Month Breakfast Symposium. We are so honored to have all of you here on this day to celebrate the females, the women of the City of McAllen. My name is Xochitl Mora. I'll serve as your MC for today's program. I want to thank you all for joining us. This event came about when one day at a director staff meeting, we looked around and noticed that there was an equal number of female directors to male directors, which is unheard of in government, especially municipal government. And we wanted to recognize that fact, not just as a, oh, look at us, we're so great, because of course the City of McAllen is just a wonderful organization to be a part of, but because of what this means for our community and our workforce. And really this event is for you, our female employees, to know that there is no limit to how high you can rise in the ranks of this great organization. And of course, we have such amazing leaders in our community, women trailblazers who are just breaking barriers in their industry, in their chosen profession, and we bring them here to inspire you and us equally so that we can continue to do what we are all called to do as public servants here with the City of McAllen and serve our community and our residents. Before we get started, I would like to recognize all of our honored guests here with us today. Starting with, of course, the Honorable Tony Agid, Commissioner, District 1. The Honorable Rudy Castillo, Commissioner, District 4. Our City Manager, Mr. Roy Rodriguez. Assistant City Manager, Mr. Jeff Johnston. Assistant City Manager, Ms. Michelle Rivera. And Assistant City Manager, Mr. Joe Vera. I would like to ask all of the directors with the City of McAllen to please stand and be recognized. Thank you all, both men and women who are here joining us today, and for your leadership, for your department, and for our organization. I'd also like to recognize some past trailblazers who have joined us this morning, starting with Elvira Alonso, McAllen Public Works Director. Captain Irene Luna, McAllen Police Department, retired. Piedad Martinez, she was with our Director of Community Block Development and Grants Administration. Ms. Julie Rankin, who was the Director of the McAllen Planning Department. And Ms. Elizabeth Suarez, who was the Aviation Director for the McAllen International Airport and now serves as the CEO of the McAllen Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Paula Gonzalez, Athletic Director, McAllen ISD. Veronica Gonzalez, Vice President, Government and Community Affairs, UTRGV. Nancy Trevino, when she was the Public Health Executive Coordinator for Hidalgo County, now serves as our Director of McAllen Health and Code Enforcement. Sally Frausto Guerra, Realtor, Business Owner, and Community Organization Activist. And Ms. Carmen Pagan, the bilingual speech language pathologist and business owner. And this year, we are so honored to have two amazing trailblazers who will be joining this very prestigious class of honorees that we have with us, starting with Ms. Rose Benavides, the chair of the South Texas College Board of Trustees. And Ms. Vala Mantia, owner and managing partner, L&F Distributors. I would also like to recognize other special guests joining with us, Dr. Guy Bailey, president of UTRGV, and today serving as Mrs. Vala Mantia. We also have with us a woman who needs no introduction here in our community. Please help me welcome Mrs. Janet Vactor of Burt Ogden Auto Group. Thank you all for being a part of this celebration. This event started in 2017, and first and foremost, the idea is that we must be allies to and for each other as women, because if we don't stand up for other women, support other women, acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate other women and all of our amazing accomplishments, talents, abilities, and unique way of thinking, working, and contributing to our workforce, then how can we expect our male colleagues to do so? Today is about celebrating what each and every one of us brings here to work at the City of McAllen, as well as recognizing and honoring those in our community who are helping to make our city a better place as well. For our children, for our families, for us, and all who live, work, and play in this great city of McAllen, where such a celebration can be held. Thank you all for being here and for helping to make this organization a better one, and for the work that you do that enhances our community. Please help me welcome the Honorable Tony Agid, Commissioner, District 1.
Wow. First, y'all look beautiful. You really do. It's very, very nice this morning to see beautiful, happy people that are just sharing each other's company. And you guys look okay too, okay? Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to join you today to the City of McAllen's Women's History Month International Women's Day Breakfast Symposium. That's a mouthful, okay? During Women's History Month, we celebrate the countless women who have fought tirelessly and courageously for equality, justice, and opportunity in our nation, our state, and here in our beautiful city. We also reaffirm our commitment to advancing opportunities for women and girls here in our great City of McAllen community. We also reaffirm, ours is the only nation in the world established upon a profound but simple idea that all people are created equally. And while we need to keep pushing to diversify our workforce, there are already innovative and strong women here at every level of our city government. However, we need more. I can tell you firsthand that this organization highly values your ideas, cooperations, contribution, and innovation. That is especially true for me. The women I work with here at the City of McAllen are some of the strongest, innovative, courageous trailblazers who are also respectful, polite, considerate, helpful people. Not just women, but people. Because of them, because of you, is why the City of McAllen continues to be the leading organization to work for and the city to live in right here in the Rio Grande Valley. I don't say those words lightly. I want to encourage everyone to, if the cheese moves, move with it. We are constantly changing. This is a constant change world. And it would be great that amongst us comes the future growth of our city. So those that are in leadership roles, please share your talents, please share your knowledge, be kind to those, and those that are working amongst us here, that we keep growing. There's opportunities all over the city because we're going to keep growing. A city that does not grow, a city dies. We're not that here. And we are the example to this whole area. There is nothing wrong with and being proud of your community and saying that we are the jewel of the Rio Grande Valley. And because of all of what we've done in this city is why this area grows, not only here in the Rio Grande Valley, but in northern Mexico. So please, try to elevate yourself, move with that cheese when it moves, and be part of the growth of our area. Les doy las gracias a todos y que Dios tenga un buen día.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will indeed help our community grow with that cheese. Please help me welcome our great leader with the City of McAllen, Mr. Roy Rodriguez.
Man, those boots are loud, right? I only weigh 170 pounds. So, Tony took all my thunder. It is a beautiful sight, and it's more than just your beauty. It's a very special day for us to celebrate such a wonderful thing that we have in our community. I have some very short prepared notes, but before I read them, I can't help it whether it's day or night, weekday or weekend. Women are a part of who we are in our country and certainly in the city. So I go home and I go to my spouse of 35 years. So please applause. I don't know how, no, I better not say that, how she's done it for 35 years. I have 7 sisters, right? And thank God, because they treat me like a king. I'm the youngest. Yeah, 7 sisters that I love very much. I have an assistant city manager that's a very talented young woman. Michelle, thank you for all you do. And today, I celebrate my first and only granddaughter's birthday. Today. And that's Emilia. I have a picture of her, no? No. Thank you so much for being here. What a wonderful day it really is today. I'm honored to be here before you as your city manager of the best city in Texas. Absolutely. We have been a gem in South Texas for a long time, and now our great state of Texas recognizes the importance of this little gem for the entire state. It is for several reasons that we are like a shining city on the hill, and certainly one of them is the amazing women that have transformed us into who and what we are, and that's you. Today we celebrate all women, especially those in the workforce, and most especially Vala Mantia and Rose Benavides. Thank you and congratulations for all that you have accomplished. These women are examples of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice, and what those things in life can bring to anyone, man or woman. Their talents not only rise to the top of women's abilities, but all of the people of South Texas. I am humbled to be able to reintroduce them here and to celebrate all their accomplishments in life. Thank you for all that you do. You inspire us. You truly, truly inspire us. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for your inspiration for us as well. We'll get started with the program. If you'll help me welcome to the stage Our moderator, Assistant City Manager, Ms. Michelle Rivera. Michelle joined the City of McAllen in July 2014 as an Assistant City Manager, and she is just weeks away from celebrating 30 years of municipal service spanning 3 cities, but happy to be right here in McAllen. She holds a Bachelor's of Environmental Planning from Arizona State University and a Master's of Urban Planning from Texas A&M. She is a certified public manager and an ICMA credentialed manager, and she just recently graduated from the 2023 class of Texas Women's Leadership Institute. She also has 2 daughters. One is doing her residency in pharmacy at the VA hospital in San Antonio, and the other is currently exploring her career options. And in her spare time, I'm sure you all know, Michelle enjoys running, and running a lot, as well as gardening and curling up with a good murder mystery book. Thank you, Michelle, for your leadership and for serving as today's moderator. This year, we are so pleased to have 2 amazing women as our trailblazers for this year's class. And our first honoree is Ms. Rose Benavides. Rose is a native of Starr County and serves as president and CEO of the Starr County Industrial Foundation, the region's economic development agency. In this capacity, she has witnessed the difficulties of overcoming high unemployment and poverty levels, and to that end, she has worked hard to assist in eliminating such obstacles by dedicating her professional career to developing the local economy while improving access to education and creating job opportunities. She has also served as the Starr County representative on the South Texas College Board of Trustees since November 2009, when she was elected to fill a vacancy created by the passing of her father, founding board member Manuel Benavides Jr. As recognition of her leadership and dedication to higher education, she was named the youngest board chair in the college's history, as well as being the first Latina named as president of the Association of Community College Trustees. Her journey of becoming the first female president of the CIF has been filled with many other firsts, including collaborating with STC to create and complete the first ever strategic plan for Starr County that would serve as a blueprint for improving the region's workforce, training, and business development strategies. Through her service at South Texas College, a nationally ranked as a top-performing Hispanic serving institution, she has helped expand access to higher education to over 34,000 students per semester while graduating over 7,000 students annually. These efforts have allowed thousands of residents to continue their academic careers or find gainful employment at a meaningful living wage, while also creating a college-going culture that now leads the nation with 32 early college high schools and nearly 15,000 high school students that participate in dual enrollment every semester that have saved the region's families almost $300 million in just the last 10 years. Ms. Benavides, thank you so much. Please join us. Our second honoree this morning is Ms. Vala Mantia, who is recognized for her business leadership as a partner of a family-owned beverage distribution company, her service to the McAllen community, and her role as a founding member of the STAR Scholarship Fund, which has awarded more than $38 million in scholarships since 2002, furthering education for nearly 20,000 students in South and West Texas. A well-known entrepreneur, community leader, and philanthropist in the Rio Grande Valley, Val has been an active member of the Texas business community for over 35 years. She is the first woman to serve as a partner of the LNF Distribution LLC and Favorite Brands, LNF and its sister company. Both companies currently distribute throughout Texas and New Mexico and employ over 1,400 employees across more than 170 counties in both states. A major supporter of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, Val is a champion for improving one's quality of life through education. As chairperson of the Friends of Quinta Mazatlan Board of Directors, Val played a leadership role in creating new fundraising strategies for the $52 million development of the Center for Urban Ecology, which will become a premier research lab on urban ecological sciences and its appreciation towards sustainable urban development. Val has been honored with several prestigious accolades, including Texas Women's Hall of Fame, McAllen Chamber Woman of the Year, Hispanic Chamber Businesswoman of the Year, and the South Texas Literacy Champion from the Girl Scouts of Greater South Texas. Welcome, Val, and thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to be here with our guests today, and thank you both so much for taking the time to share your knowledge and your experience with all of these impressionable ladies in the audience as well. So we'll start with the first question. Can you tell us a story about a bold moment in your career?
Good morning. So when we talk about bold moments, it's always hard to point to one, especially when you spend a lifetime in a career of that is consistently dominated by males. But I think I'd have to say that when I first started this job, had no idea what economic development was, no intention of having that be my job. I was about 20, maybe 21 years old, just out of college. And within a year and a half, I'd been promoted to be the president of that organization. Everyone around me was older, a different gender, and it was hard for them to understand how someone who had just gotten out of school was running this organization at that time. So lo and behold, I get invited on a trip, and a week later, City Council has a City Council meeting, and if you've never had a meeting that only has one agenda item and you're the agenda item, I would say that try to avoid it because it's never good. Needless to say, there was executive session, a lot of discussion as to how my promotion came about and why my promotion happened so quickly. But I went on that trip, and every city councilman that was with me at the time, most of them are not there anymore, so I'm happy to share this story now, was on this trip also. And so I learned that a lot of the conversations that had happened behind the scenes were probably not the most favorable in terms of description of reasons why people get promotions. So we're at the airport, there's this big storm, and no one wants to get on the plane because it was a small plane. And so I got up, turned around and said, you know, there's a lot of things that this girl can blow up, but it's not going to be that plane, so I'm getting on it. If you all want to join me, I'll see you in DC, and if not, good luck. From that day, I think people understood that you can work hard, you can perform, and your work speaks for itself. And so I think them understanding that someone that was so young and potentially impressionable at the time wouldn't take any BS from anyone, regardless of their position, put me in a place where they allowed me to do my job and do some of the work that I'm doing today.
That's wonderful, thank you. Val, tell us about your bold moment.
You know, I'm thinking the same thing as Rose. You don't go through life thinking, oh, this is a bold moment or this is a bold moment. Sometimes you just kind of slug through it and things, you know, you just persevere and usually comes your way. But for those who don't know me, I grew up in a very male-dominant family. My father was in the business. I had 4 brothers. And I think for me it was just wanting to work in the family business, which at the time was agriculture, and then later on we bought a beer distributor. So I think just thinking that I was going to work, which is something that was kind of foreign to him, and that I actually was going to get out there and do things that my brothers were doing. I think that was, for me now looking back, that was probably, at the time it was just something I wanted to do, but I think that was a very bold moment because it wasn't something that was in anybody's mind that I could do that. And then I think the other bold moment, which is really not professional, but getting married when I was 63 years old, again, was a bold moment. Thank you. And he's here with me. I feel like he's my, we kind of help each other. But that's also a bold moment. And I think, going through life, it doesn't matter what your age is or where you are. If you want it, just try to work around it and get it, because I think it makes you happier in the end. So as I agree with Rose, there's a lot of bold moments that happen as we were going through these questions and thinking about them. It kind of makes you think that, yeah, I could do that. So if you think you can, you usually can. And if it's not that pathway, then zip around and find another pathway. But I think everybody can find those times. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question is, what strategies or techniques do you use to deal with naysayers?
Well, I'll take that one. Head down, go forward, slog through life sometimes. It's not always easy, but I will promise you that the other side is a lot of fun. I think everybody comes across people that, just are negative for whatever the reason, or just think that that you can't do it. And I think you just put your head down and work through it. Find a way. If it doesn't work this way, you find another way. Because at the end of the day, if you believe in something and you know it's the right thing, then you go for it, because it just happens to everybody. So I would just say slog through life and find your passion.
Hey, Rose, what strategies do you use with naysayers?
So I'd agree. A lot of times, especially if you're in politics, it becomes really important to be able to create partnerships and collaborations. And sometimes, obviously no one's ever going to agree with you 100%, but I think what I've learned is that there is an opportunity in every one of those challenges to make an ally, to build a bridge and make a friend. And it's about communication, and quite frankly, it's about having a dialogue that ultimately makes that person believe that your idea is their idea. And once that happens, they tend to change their frame of thought, and potentially you not only gain someone to support what you'd like to see happen, but more importantly, you've got someone else that's an advocate for that. And I think one of the things I'd also say is that there's always a lot of negotiation when you're trying to get someone to move beyond that. And in negotiations, obviously, maybe you don't get everything that you want, but you get at least some of it, and that's better than nothing.
Okay, the next question is, have you ever had to overcome cultural obstacles to obtain your current level of leadership?
I'll go. Selling beer. There are a few things, and I was talking to some of the women that were out here, and I think they feel the same way. Selling beer, when you're in the police department, when you are in a job that's mostly men-oriented. I think the only thing that is great is the bathrooms are always free. Other than that, it's a difficult thing because women just think differently. We go off of intuition. Men are more data-driven, and I think sometimes we have to keep our emotions in check. But I really think that beer is one of the few things that's very man-oriented, and sometimes it's hard to overcome that. But I had a lot of good lessons because I had 4 brothers, and so it was just kind of was born into me to just kind of fight a little bit. And I think the hardest part is keeping your femininity at the same time you're working with a group of men. And I think I never thought that being a woman was a detriment to me. I always felt that that was an asset. But I think if you can work in a man's world, which is becoming more 50-50 now, and still keep your femininity, I think that's very important, because we need both sexes and both ideas to work forward. So I kind of came to that conclusion as I was all my years in the job. Thank you.
So when you're growing up in a Hispanic Mexican household and community, advice is pretty much a dichotomy of what you hear. You hear you can do anything you want because you're smart, because you're a woman, you work hard. From mija, eso se deja para los hombres, because men don't like women that are too smart. You know, I heard that from my grandmother a lot of times. And God bless her soul. You know, I loved her to death, but I know that Val's absolutely right. You know, there's a lot of things that women have an opportunity to do when you're working in these communities, and when you're talking about, you know, who could do a better job. It really never is about the gender. It's about the passion. It's about the work ethic. And I think what I've been able to see in my career and in the work that I do is the fact that you can do anything that you want, regardless of your ethnicity, your sex, your age, but you just have to really love doing it, and then nothing of that matters.
Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit and find out about what you do to keep a well-balanced life. How do you keep from being that workaholic all the time?
So I can go first on this. I'm a really boring person, and anyone that knows me will tell you that. They don't think I do a lot. I love to read, I love to write, but I think one of the things that allows me to kind of keep a level head in all of this is just find peace in some travel, and then also always understand that that urgent 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. call almost always can wait.
Well, I didn't have a well-balanced career. I mean, when you've lived as long as I have, you go through phases. And so when the kids were little and I was working, it was just thin. It was all I could do is to get everything going at the end of the day, you know, and so it wasn't very well balanced at all. And you're always worried about where your children are, who they're with, and you work all the time. I mean, I would get up and go, and so now as I've gotten older, because times change, I think Guy and I have a more well-balanced career and well-balanced life now, but I still don't think I'm well-balanced, you know? I just, you know, you get so used to doing things, and you know, I do work out, and you know, we try to eat well, but I don't think I found it yet, you know? There are moments when they're good, but you know, there's a lot of them when it's just still crazy, so I'm not a good one for this.
That's okay. I think we all struggle to find that work-life balance at times. Like you said, it's a season that you go through. Just make sure you keep taking care of yourself and have a beer every now and then.
Oh, yeah. Or two.
Okay, how did you decide to pursue the career that you're working in today?
Well, for me, I always wanted to work with my family, and that was just something that, you know, being from an Italian family and being second generation, it was just inbred in me to want to work with whatever we were doing, whether it was agriculture, which we started out with, and then beer afterwards. And it never occurred to me that it wasn't something that I would do. I knew I wanted a family, and I knew I wanted to work with my family. And I think when you're close, and you, as close as we were, and Tony and I were talking about this earlier, because we kind of all ran around in the neighborhoods together, because I grew up in McAllen and went to school in McAllen, and I just always wanted to live in McAllen, and I know that maybe sounds kind of segmented. it was a wonderful place, and I wanted to be here, and I wanted to help the community, and I never thought of anything else.
So I spent most of my college years working for attorneys because I was going to go to law school. That was my career path, and life happened. And I was relatively young. I took this job as a summer internship. Year and a half, got promoted, to run the thing, was making money, could buy a car at Bert Ogden, which I did, by the way. A Camaro was my first car. And it felt right because I started to do some work that was changing this community. I started to work, got an opportunity that many people don't, to work with my father when he was the trustee at South Texas College, putting together some great training and great plans for this small community that I'd grown up in, that I was seeing significantly change. That gets addictive. When things start changing and you start seeing that you're a part in just whatever way of things that are better, I just knew that this job had found me, not that I had found it, and that was a place I needed to stay, and so I've been there since.
With both of your bios, this is probably going to be the toughest question you get asked. Name your greatest professional accomplishment. There's so many to choose from, I'm sure, but think of what do you think is your favorite, greatest?
Well, when I got these questions, because we got these questions early, thank you for doing that. Some things you just never really think about. You just go through life, right? You trudge through life, and I was sitting there and I was talking to a guy and I thought, oh God, I have no great accomplishments. What am I going to think of? And he said, yeah, you do. And I thought about that a little bit more, and there were several things. One was being part of a family, a business, where we had one distributorship in McAllen, had 10 employees at the time, and we took that distributorship. We now have 6 distributorships. We have over 1,400 people. We sell about 30 million cases of beer a year, and we span over all of Texas and New Mexico. That was a pretty good accomplishment. I thought that, I think that's good. But you don't think about those things. Thank you. And then I thought about, the scholarship fund that we started. My father saw that there was an educational need and people needed scholarships. And we started it in 2002. And today, was mentioned earlier, we've raised $38 million worth of scholarships to 20,000 students. Thank you. And it wasn't just us, it was the community. It's a grassroots organization, and it was the community we got behind us. You have to have a quarterback, but that helped. And then something Roy knows, and I know he was so tired of me calling him all the time, was Quinta Mazatlan, and it was 10 years in the making, and there were so many times, and Joe and I would just look at each other and say, okay, you can't quit, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna quit, or you can't quit. And that it's finally coming to fruition. And I think the reason I felt so passionate about this is because I really felt like it was something that would help the community. There's so many places that we need just to dig in and to say, this is the right thing. And we found so many partners that would help us. And it was a long time, and I know Roy would always take my calls, but I know sometimes oh God, she's calling me again. But it was a journey, and it was a journey of love. And I think when you believe in a community and you work in a community, if you can give back to that community, it not only helps every single person that you touch, but it also helps your job, it helps the people that work for you. And so I think those are the accomplishments that I'm most proud of. Thank you.
So I agreed. I was trying to think back and look at what I was most proud of and potentially what I felt was an accomplishment. And it occurred to me that it was the little wins, I think, that meant more. But when you work in economic development, you see through a very clear lens when a community is transforming. You see a community like Stark County, where I have the privilege to serve and work in, go from unemployment that was at 54% to 7.2% this year. Really great. You get to see and work for a community where educational attainment was about 40% and is now 63%, which is amazing, right? And then you also get to see, and this is going to sound really insane for people that have, 6 Starbucks in your community, but a year and a half ago, Stark County got its first Starbucks, and people were thrilled at the fact that they didn't have to drive 30 minutes to come get their coffee. And so I think from the standpoint of where this profession allows you to bring change, what has been most meaningful is bringing generational change. And so of all the statistics and all the data that I share when we're trying to recruit companies or when we're trying to expand companies, the most important to us is that 20 years ago, 60% of the children in Stark County lived in poverty. Today, 65% of the children in Stark County have some sort of higher education in their resume. And that, I think, for me, is probably the biggest gift.
Okay, changing gears a little bit again, what would you say are the biggest challenges facing leaders today?
So, leaders have challenges every day, for making decisions about what they feel is the right thing to do potentially, or trying to balance that with how it's going to impact everyone else around you. But I think the hardest thing that leaders face is mitigating that risk in a way where the initiatives that you're undertaking or the decisions you're making, that the impact that they're having is positive for the people around you, regardless of whether it is the most popular thing to do. And I think as a leader, you start and struggle at times as to how to ensure that what you may feel is the right thing sometimes doesn't feel right, but it has to get done because of the greater good and a way to ensure that you're either moving whatever project forward or that you're ensuring that the community is being well taken care of. And I think when you learn how to put those personal feelings aside, then you probably make the best decisions that you can.
I'd say workforce. We have a hard time finding good people that will work and that will do that job, maybe go that extra mile. When you're working, you shouldn't be looking at, okay, it's 5 o'clock and I need to go. And sometimes that will happen, but I think finding good people that really want to work and invest in their job, to me, that's the hardest thing that I found. And I found it harder after the pandemic. I think it's harder to find people that really want to work and make a difference.
Okay, what goals do you still have left to accomplish?
Well, as I said before, we're a family-owned business, and we have the next generation, our third generation, coming on board. And so I'm hoping they get up to speed so I can retire at some point in time, or at least move on to other things. So I think, and that's also what I'm most proudest of is having so many of them in our organization now. I think that's something that I look forward to. And then just doing other projects. sometimes when you do the day-to-day and the day-to-day grind, I mean, it's fun, but I'd like to do something on the 10,000-foot level. So I think just doing that more is what I'm looking forward to, and those are my projects. And then taking care of Guy.
And don't forget that ribbon cutting at Quinta next year.
I know, I'm looking forward to that too, right?
That'll be awesome.
So in economic development, it looks like you're never done, right? There's always that next big thing that you want to come after, the next big thing that you want to land. But I think there's so much left to do in that field every day that I know that the work has to continue, even though we've made some amazing strides. And so I think my goal professionally is to continue to grow the human capital that we have in our organization to ensure that when and if I decide to move on and do something else, that organization continues to do the great things that it's doing. And on a personal level, I've tried a long time ago to stop trying to set bars for myself because I understood then that I was working towards them instead of getting to them because it was the right time for me. And so from that standpoint, it's just about continuing to work.
Okay, and our final question for today is, what advice would you give 20-year-old you, and what advice would you give these women who work at the City of McAllen today?
Okay. So the 20-year-old that walked into that city council meeting probably unintentionally showed a lot of valor, but I think I would tell that person that it gets better and that you can do better to help other people see things better. I think that one of the things that as women we often forget is that there is so much of a struggle every day to find that equality, right? And that fight needs to begin in us every day so that we can remind a new generation of girls that even though a man's foot can be larger, our stilettos leave a much larger mark. So I would tell every woman in this room that as women, we always tend to underestimate not only the value that we bring to an organization or to an effort, but we downplay it because we feel it's an expectation. And the expectation sometimes doesn't let us enjoy or celebrate those wins. And so I would say to each of you that while it seems that every day is long, every day is a task, it always gets better. And I think that you will learn as your life becomes fulfilled in your purpose, that if you live in that purpose, every day is going to be a win for you.
Well, don't take things too seriously. Have fun. I think sometimes I got so wrapped in what I wanted to do that I, smell the roses. That's kind of old thing, but I really think that is true. I also think that life is hard. It's not easy all the time. You kind of have to slog through some things before you find the other side, and it does get better. And for me, because I was in sports and my kids were in sports throughout, I really kind of thought life was like a contact sport. You can either get in the game or you can sit on the sidelines. It's always your choice in which way you go. But I always chose to get in the game, and if I got knocked down, I just went around or dusted myself off, put my big girl pants on, and kept going. So I think persevere, don't look back, and just know that even if times are hard, on the other end, it'll get easier, promise. So.
Thank you, ladies, very much for your awe-inspiring words. I know we've all enjoyed hearing from you this morning, and we thank you again for your leadership and for your time.
You know, I just want to say something. I just want to thank y'all for inviting us here. You know, it was, when you gave me the questions, they were very thought-provoking, and as you're going through life, because I've been doing this for, I don't know, a long time, you just don't think about things that you've done in the past. You just, every day is just like moving forward to another day. And so I think both Rose and I enjoyed this a lot, and it was very beneficial for us just to stop and say, oh, maybe that was good, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rose and Val. Actually, if you'll just wait a minute, are there any questions for our trailblazers from the audience?
So I was the oldest. Yeah, but I couldn't control them. Yes, I had, my youngest brother is 10 years younger than I am, but then my brother that's right next to me is just a year younger than I am. So we grew up in Creases Springs, and there was not a whole lot to do. So there was many kids in a short amount of time.
Any other questions? We've got one back here.
Ms. Val, you mentioned maintaining your femininity. What advice would you give to those of us who work in an environment where you may have to come off a little bit stronger and still maintain that femininity?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because sometimes you get into that, oh, guy, well, and maybe there's a few more cuss words that you would say just to try to fit in and be strong and stuff. And I will say that it has always been a struggle to do that, but I think men especially appreciate that. And so I would try to always know what I was talking about, because I think that's something that people will challenge you constantly. I would always try to look somebody in the eye, and I know that's silly, but when you're talking to somebody, you can be strong but feminine at the same time. But you gotta know your stuff, you gotta work hard, and probably harder than most men do. And growing up in the 80s, that's when I had childcare and I had work at the same time. It's a constant struggle for women in a man's world to keep that femininity going. But I hope that answered your question, but I tried not to go down to think like men and be just like one of the guys. I tried to be there, but at the same time, I wore the dresses, I wore the makeup, or not. But I always tried to see the gentler side in what I was doing. And I also thought my intuition was stronger than theirs were. So if I saw something that was not quite right, I tried to fix it. So I hope that helps. I don't know, Rose, if you probably struggled too on that.
Well, I wear the dresses, for sure. But no, absolutely. I think that, that it is a struggle. And a lot of times, as women, when we have subordinates that may be another gender, it's hard potentially to embrace that femininity, but also have that, that superiority that you need. But I think that was a perfect response, is the fact that as you go through, you never lose yourself in wanting to be able to have control of the situation. And I think that being well prepared and working, unfortunately, twice as hard is always necessary. But at the end of the day, you understand that respect doesn't recognize gender.
And I also think having a squad is nice. You know, I love men, but sometimes you just need a squad of women just to say, oh my God, you know, what is this, you know? And just talking through it sometimes just calms you down, right? So I know Liz and I were talking earlier, and she's like, well, I was working with all men, and now I'm working with all women, or a lot of women in the chamber, and it's kind of nice, you know? I mean, it's nice to have both perspectives of it, but it's also nice just to bounce things off of women because they get it, you know? You don't even have to finish your sentence, and they already understand where you're coming from. So I think having a squad also helps just to blow off some steam. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank y'all very much. Thank you.
You all so
Thank you.
much.
Y'all have a
Before
great
you
day.
leave, we do have a short video presentation. The City of McAllen continues to have trailblazers, and let's hear from one that has now joined our ranks.
Everyone's affirmative. We can have engine 4 with you, cover more side, or you still fine.
Every day is different, so you never know what you're going to come to work and do, and that part for me keeps it very interesting.
Rebecca Garcia is one of a kind, the first female firefighter the City of McAllen has had in this century.
I wanted to become a firefighter because I wanted a change of pace.
Before Garcia joined the academy, she was a teacher in the classroom. Now, instead of grabbing a textbook, Garcia's teaching kids about fire safety in and out of the class, working with their fellow firefighters to respond to accidents, emergencies, or simply being engaged with the city.
I was looking for a more active career, and I still wanted to work with the community, so I thought this would be a good balance.
And so far, it's been just that. Garcia says her love for the community fuels her inspiration to take on a tough job in what most see as an unconventional role for a woman.
Yes, we are going into these dangerous situations, but it's with the goal of just keeping everybody safe, bringing everybody home, and just making sure that their families, their homes, their environment are all intact.
Whether it be house fires, car accidents, dressing up as Sparky, or helping pets in need of rescue, the idea is to be prepared for anything that comes her way. Garcia says the constant change of pace keeps her on her toes.
The medical calls, I guess, have been the biggest impact. I have a lot of diabetic calls, and those kind of have a soft spot in my heart because my dad was a diabetic, so they're very interesting for me. So just being there in their moment of need means a lot to me.
But will it be another century before we see another woman suiting up at the McAllen Fire Department? Rebecca has these encouraging words for young girls who may be thinking about one day running into a burning building.
I would like to let young girls know that it's possible and that they can definitely do it. So just not to let the fear of this type of job discourage them, and to just give it a try.
This International Women's Day and Women's History Month, the City of McAllen is proud to honor all of its female workforce and encourages them to always share their voice.
Rebecca's right back there, so thank you, Firefighter Garcia, for serving, and of course to all of our trailblazers, and to you ladies for the work that you do every day for the City of McAllen. We have a lot more activities this month planned. If you haven't signed up yet for the self-defense class on Wednesday, we'll have a speed mentoring session, and of course we're just thankful